How did it happen? How did we, conquerors of most of the world, pioneers of political, industrial and technological progress and the mother of democracy, get in the unholy mess that we find ourselves in today? How did we go from empire to irrelevance and arrive tottering on the brink of oblivion in the space of just 2 short generations? We took our half the ball. We let the liberal left deprive our youth of their national pride, and it's not the fault of our youth. We betrayed them more than they failed us. We let the successes of our glorious past implant a sense of false security and a belief in our own infallibility. We succumbed to overconfidence and arrogance. We strutted forth in a cloak of supreme self-confidence and were so tied up in our own glory that we allowed our shadowy enemies to infiltrate and dilute our national identity to a meaningless Britishness. We went from a once proud pedigree nation to a false and manufactured British identity that is freely bestowed on every piece of world flotsam that drifts to our shores. This was accomplished not by force of arms but by stealth and subterfuge. We invited treacherous friends to look after our house whilst we went on holiday. We accepted the word of our fellow Britons whilst they saw us as the enemy and had no compunction whatsoever about betraying us. Within these isles we alone were trusting, generous and believed in the brotherhood of Britishness. Only the English forgave and forgot the battles of yesteryear. We alone were short-sighted and ripe for conquest. The nationalist ideologues of the minor nations teamed up with international socialists, European predators and the politically correct maggots of our society, and that unholy alliance started to gnaw away at the fabric of our very existence. In the 50s and 60s they infiltrated our unions and used that door as the back entrance to Westminster. In the 60s they made us ashamed to protest. They moved into our education system, our government, our civil service and our protective organisations. In this way they disarmed us and effectively killed off free speech and the ability to protest. We were anaesthetised and put to sleep while cuckoos laid their eggs in our system. In the 90s their offspring started to dominate our media, the civil service, our police, our institutions and finally our government. We allowed their subsequent hatchlings to kick the eggs of our national identity, history, culture and religion out of our nest, and we accepted and nurtured the impostors' offsprings as though they were our own. Now let us look at what the eggs hatched into. Our so-called friends invited other vultures to help dispose of the English carcass. Their siblings in the civil service, the media, local councils and the classrooms made us ashamed of our empire, feel guilty of being English, afraid to acknowledge our history, our culture or even our own existence. They scrapped England and replaced her with a multi-ethnic Britain, and even the architects of that self-serving policy have since been forced to admit that whilst their multiculturalist experiment was successful in suppressing Englishness, the consequences of that multiculturalism threatened their own existence. Now consider our stupidity. We have allowed the infiltration and takeover of our country by a group of foreigners who have publicly sworn to put their own people first. People under a sworn obligation to use England and the English to enhance their own country. Furthermore, they are so resolute that they have carried out every word of that oath by stripping England and sending wealth, jobs, contracts and natural resources to their homelands. Can you imagine the French appointing the English to run their country? The Americans appointing the Russian Politburo to run theirs, Israel offering their administration to the Iranians, or the Scots, Welsh or Irish being stupid enough to vote into power a government totally dominated by English nationalists. Then why do we continue to elect Scottish, Welsh and Irish nationalists to run England? Why are we allowing them to dig us ever deeper into an irreversible Europe? Many of our war heroes are buried in Europe, and they would rather be dead than witness their England interred there too. In that context, it is difficult to be proud of English enterprise. England. The alarm has been going off for a bloody long time now. We can't afford to roll over, pull the blankets over our heads and go back to sleep and hope that when we wake up we find that it was all a bad dream. It's time to get out of bed and down to the battle. Talk, write, vote, donate to an English nationalist party. We cannot afford to do nothing any longer. Get off your backsides, get at it, or perish.